Biograft Energy Sword. The Biograft Energy Swords are Roblox created melee gears with the appearance of a U that has a handle at the bottom and sharp tips. All emit sparkles giving off futuristic looks, and of which are either limited or limited U. The Energy Sword is the original mesh of the series. Currently, since 2018, 9 are a part of the series, 8 of which are unique and 1 that is a dual-wield version, surprisingly not of the original Energy Sword. There are also 2 items that are Energy Sword related, but are not quite Energy Swords in and of themselves. Just like the previous covered Periostron swords, most Energy Swords follow a similar pattern of containing Greek letters in their names. Each sword is also pre-pended with spec, or specification showcasing its futuristic design with the exception of 1. These gears, as prestigious as they seem, do not have any special abilities, used simply as melee gears. The Energy Swords are known for dealing more damage than a typical classic sword, with 10 damage on contact, between 10 and 12 damage per swing, and between 20 and 24 damage from lunging. Due to the deprecation of gears in games, however, they are used mostly for training and cosmetic purposes. If games are not set to R6, the gears do not work properly. Moreover, the broken display of effects on gears on Roblox cause the particles to render as gray when they are not. Spec Alpha Biograft Energy Sword. The Spec Alpha Biograft Energy Sword was the founding energy sword of the series, released on June 12, 2009. Its name contains the first letter of the Greek alphabet, alpha, mapping to its foundation of the series. It was obtained via the bombastic gift of Builders Club, which was obtained through having Builders Club membership. The Energy Sword went limited on May 31st, 2013. The gear currently has over 32,000 favorites, making it the most popular of the Energy Swords. It has a description, quote-unquote, "This sword biografts to your character, amps your jumping capabilities. Double click and jump at the same time to super jump. Also, if you get close to anyone, you will positively wreck them. Yes, the future is a dangerous place. This features futuristic lore and functionality that comes with the Energy Sword. The sword has a slashing functionality very similar to that of the Linked Sword, with the slashing animation being activated upon clicking during the swing animations twice. The slash animation gives the user a slight jump boost, allowing users to levitate off the ground for a short period of time. With such swings, the sword emits a laser sound effect while slashing, lunging, and unsheathing respectively. Its appearance features an Energy Sword blade with different variations of green and a handle that is a mossy green. Green sparkles are emitted while equipped in actuality. Additionally, a green glow is emitted from the sword when held, and its tooltip appears a bright green due to featuring a green glow around itself. The sword is the first in the series, yet the cheapest one as well, with a value of over 5,000 Robux and having over 15,000 copies. The sword was also mentioned in a future-themed blog post where it has dash in its name that was later omitted. Spec Beta Biograft Energy Sword. The Spec Beta Biograft Energy Sword was the second energy sword in the Energy Sword series. It contains the second letter of the Greek alphabet, Beta, signifying its position in the series. The sword released 2 months after the founder on August 22nd, 2009 for 10,000 Robux. Exactly 100 copies sold due to such a price, despite not being a limited U, going limited on an unknown date. It has a value of 200,000 Robux, with only 50 copies making it the second rarest and valuable energy sword in the series. The sword has over 7,000 favorites, with a description, quote-unquote, in 2113, decades after the initial release of the hugely successful Spec Alpha Biograft energy weapons, the US government began research on a top secret upgrade. The breakthrough was to use artificial diamonds to forge the blade itself, rather than carbon nanofibers. The new weapon was very effective, but obscenely expensive. Only 100 were ever made. This description has a small typo and references the original energy sword, describing how the Spec Beta was created, and hints at the rarity of such sword. The sword's appearance features an energy sword blade with variations of pink and a handle that is white. Its functionality is merely identical to its predecessor, except emitting pink particles and glows. The gear's tooltip icon also appears of a more purple color due to the purple glow around it. Spec Gamma Biograft Energy Sword. The Spec Gamma Biograft Energy Sword was the third energy sword in the series, created on January 29, 2010. Presented with Gamma in its name as the third letter of the Greek alphabet, it comes in succession in this series. It was the first limited U energy sword, sold at 500 copies for 1,600 Robux. It is the only energy sword in the series with a dual counterpart. At over 9,400 favorites, it has a quite lengthy description of, quote-unquote, in the aftermath of World War VII, isolated pockets of human survivors raided ruined government labs looking specifically for these weapons. The Spec X program had been accelerated in the late 2120s as the prospect of an all-out meta-human versus machine war became increasingly likely. Prized for their ability to slice through Viridian steel exoskeletons, the US was determined to find a substitute for the pure diamond required for the manufacture of the beta models. The fire, while still exorbitantly expensive, allowed the army to produce blades that were 95% as effective as the betas at only 20% of the cost. This description provided lore regarding the gear and its sustainability as compared to its predecessor. It currently has 190 copies at a value of 38,000 Robux. The sword has a similar functionality to its predecessors, emitting blue sparkles and glows. The tooltip icon appears to be a lighter blue version of the energy sword with a blue glow all around. Its appearance features an energy sword blade with dark blue variations and a white handle, similar to that of its predecessor. Spec Epsilon Biograft Energy Sword. The Spec Epsilon Biograft Energy Sword was the fourth addition to the Energy Sword series, released on March 12, 2010. The fifth letter of the Greek alphabet Epsilon is in its name, despite being the fourth energy sword. It was sold with a stock of 100 as a limited U for 5,000 Robux. This rarity and price made it the rarest and most valuable of the energy swords at a value of 400,000 Robux with 31 copies, placing it in the top 150 most valuable Roblox limiteds. At over 14,000 favorites, it is the third most popular energy sword. It has a lengthy description of quote-unquote, the super intelligent clad people of the distant future find the history of human conflict hilarious and ironic. To that end, they created these weapons to sell in museum gift shops as a living reminder of the pinnacle of human stupidity. Why do you need hand-to-hand weapons when you have lasers? Because the clad people are incorporeal, the swords are completely harmless, and they allow their young to play with them. This description provides general lore on the energy sword gears. Its functionality is derived from precursors, emitting teal sparkles and glows when equipped. Unlike the previous swords, the tooltip of the energy sword is darker than normal, most likely due to missing a glow that is accompanied by the previous gears. Its appearance features a black handle and a blade color with a combination of Spec Alpha and Spec Gamma, along with orange tips. And before we continue, I noticed that only 1% of you are subscribed to the channel, so if you want to make that number larger, then make sure to smash that like button. But anyways, back to the video. Spec Zeta Biograft Energy Sword. The Spec Zeta Biograft Energy Sword was the fifth energy sword added to the series on November 25, 2011 for 5,000 Robux with 200 copies in stock as a limited U. It has a current value of 40,000 Robux with 102 copies. Zeta, the sixth letter of the Greek alphabet, is in its name, despite not being the sixth in the series. Its appearance features an energy sword with orange color variations on its blade and a white handle. With over 4,000 favorites, it has a description, quote-unquote, after the tremendous success of the Epsilon sword, only one person was left who understood how to make energy swords. This is largely due to the scientists testing the swords on one another in an effort to create the best product possible and to keep all the profit for themselves. The last scientist left standing created only 200 of these before he was spawn killed by a noob holding his own sword. This description further expands on the energy sword lore and its limited stock. The sword has the same functionality as its predecessors, except emitting orange sparkles and an orange glow when equipped. Its tooltip features a sword, however it appears a darker orange color up close. Red Energy Sword. The Red Energy Sword was a sixth addition to the Energy Sword series, released on December 22, 2011, for 5,000 Robux with 250 copies in stock. Its appearance showcases a blade with red and white, a similar color scheme to its successor. The tip appears far brighter than the part near of the handle, of which is black. At over 6,500 favorites, it has a description, quote-unquote, the last scientist who knew how to make energy swords passed away in a horrific energy sword accident. Don't worry, he wasn't using his own energy swords, which functioned perfectly. He was testing a competitor's imitation sword when the energy suddenly exploded. But this is not the end for energy swords. They will live on. How? That is for another energy sword description. How do we get one of these? Duh, they were hidden in the scientist's basement. This description has ironically a typo in the word description and elaborates on the reasoning behind the traditional naming behind the sword, releasing it as an imitation rather than a real energy sword. It is also the only energy sword without a Greek letter in its name. The gear's functionality is the same as the other energy swords, emitting a strong red glow and red sparkles when equipped. Its tooltip icon is a darker red version of the sword due to having no glow around it. It has a value of almost 50,000 Robux with 105 copies currently. Spec Omega Biograft Energy Sword. The Spec Omega Biograft Energy Sword was the seventh energy sword released on November 21st, 2012, purchasable for 5,000 Robux with a stock of 400 as a limited U. Its name contains the last letter of the Greek alphabet, Omega, making players speculate for quite some time about this being the last in the series. It has over 9,400 favorites with a description, quote-unquote, black energy is the heaviest kind of energy. The sword does some serious damage. This is the first gear with no energy sword lore, as it just describes the sword's power, yet its predecessor promised otherwise. Its functionality is the same just like its predecessors, with black sparkles and no glow unlike the previous energy swords. Its tooltip is the energy sword without a glow, making it appear darker. It has a value of 46,000 Robux with 201 current copies. Its appearance features a black handle, with the energy sword appearing a gray and black color. Spec Chi Biograft Energy Sword. The Spec Chi Biograft Energy Sword was the eighth and final unique energy sword released on December 24th, 2013. It was the only seasonal energy sword released for the occasion of Christmas for the price of 2,500 Robux with a stock of 200. At just under 3,000 favorites, it is the least popular energy sword in the series. However, it continues the energy sword lore with a description reading, quote-unquote, after the Christmas wars of 3010 all promised never to forget, people knew they must remain vigilant to protect against the revolt of the Santa bots and the factory elves. This sword was specifically designed to protect against festive robots of all seasons. This lure was specifically designed for the Christmas season. It has a red and white candy cane styled energy blade with a Christmas green handle. The functionality is the same as the previous energy swords and is the only energy sword in the series that does not emit anything. Its tooltip is just the energy sword itself. It has a value of 45,000 Robux with only 93 copies currently remaining. Dual Spec Gamma Biograft Energy Sword. Dual Spec Gamma Biograft Energy Sword was the 9th and last addition to the Energy Sword series and released on December 23rd, 2015 for 2,500 Robux on a 1-day timer. They were the first and only dual-wield version of an energy sword, that of the Spec Gamma Biograft Energy Sword. With over 15,000 favorites, it is the second most popular energy sword in the series, even more so than its single-wield counterpart. Its description, quote-unquote, dual-wield version of the Spec Gamma Biograft Energy. Click to slash, double-click to launch. This description seems cut off, and just like the Omega, provides no lore and explains the duality and functionality. It functions the same as its single-wield counterpart, except covering a wider range due to its nature. It also emits blue sparkles and a blue glow. Its tooltip features both energy swords and a cross formation. The sword went limited on May 29, 2016 with 1,035 copies sold during the Memorial Day 2016 sale. It has a value of around 25,000 Robux with 456 copies, making it the second most common and second least valuable energy sword behind the original. Make sure to subscribe and let me know any future gears you want me to cover next.